We've been crossing to the SABC news team station just outside the Pietermaritzburg High Court, where former President Jacob Zuma is expected to appear, and he was charged with corruption charges and charges of racketeering and money laundering. Let's now cross to reporter Ayanda Mhlongo, who is outside the High Court. A very good morning to you, Ayanda. Thank you so much for joining us. It's over to you.
Yeah, good morning once again, Simpiwe. Thanks very much to you and to our viewers. Good morning to you. We're now coming to you just across from the court, and this is the square where the supporters started gathering from last night and this morning, or throughout this morning. Certainly they're coming a bit slow this morning out here at the court in support of the former president. But behind us, as they always say, the stage is set, and this is where, once the court proceedings have been concluded inside, this is where the former president will come out and address a crowd that is expected to gather here. He is expected in the next 15 minutes or so to enter the court, and as I said earlier, he'll be entering from the back of the court. His supporters will not see him until the court proceedings are done. He will then come out to where we are along with the leaders of the ANC. Many we've seen starting to arrive here this morning. Members of the ANC, NEC, Stumo Dlamini is also the former president of COSATU. He was here along with the other leaders, the leaders of the ANC in the province, the clergy. They are also here as well. Leaders of the alliance are also here to show their support, as we've seen in the last three appearances of the former president. Inside, it's expected to be a brief appearance this morning, as after the defense counsels of both Mr. Zuma and that of his co-accused French arms company Thales having filed their application for permanent stay of prosecution, we understand that the state is likely to ask for a postponement. They then need to then go through these applications and formulate a response. It will then be at the next date that we are likely to get a possible date of a hearing, and when the arguments for the stay of prosecution will be heard. But coming back to where we are, the supporters square, as I said, a few people. Last time there were more people than what we see currently, but I'm joined now by Nkosentsha Shezi, one of the main organizers of the supporters for the former president, and also RET champion, Radical Economic Transformation champion. Mr. Shezi, thanks very much for joining us once again. The last time we were here, by this time we had a considerable amount of people that already gathered, not as much as we see. Last night as well, earlier on, we were speaking to my colleague Mlungisi Kumali, was saying that the night vigil as well, we saw the numbers dwindle a bit. Are you expecting more people?
Of course, one cannot deny the fact that the numbers today are not something, towards what we had last time. But you'd also recall that on the first appearance of President Zuma in these court cases, just a few people or business people who gathered together to organize what we see today. But as time goes on, some people also joined us. And, sometimes you may even think to wonder what has happened along that process. Because today we have experienced a problem of logistics. The buses could not pick up people in some points, hence we have little people showing up today. But that does not mean by any chance that the support for President Zuma has decreased. For sure, wherever he moves around the province of KwaZulu-Natal and the rest of the country, he is, if I may borrow some words that were said by one of the politicians, that he is a magnet. People will press just to be close to him.
And you've always said that you maintain until the end. If the matter does end up going to trial, you will continue to show your support for him. Having said that, you believe that the former president did a lot for the people of this country. You are Radical Economic Transformation champions, and you believe that he spearheaded that in ensuring that there were free opportunities for everybody in South Africa.
Of course, we believe that President Zuma is a man who's being headhunted for doing a lot of good for black people. We are not saying he's an angel, but he did quite a number of good things for black people, and you can see ever since he left office today, you begin to hear even talks of reversing some of the gains that he did, like free education, and we are calling upon students to stand up and defend free education, because ANC has taken a decision that they are going to give students free education, and therefore it's important that the working class protects the man who spearheaded radical economic transformation. And you will recall that as black business groups, we called him and honored him as a father of radical economic transformation.
Kosanju, the other matter has been with regards to support, and you've been liaising, I understand, with the leaders of the ANC who are a bit concerned about the platform, because it was being shared by other political groups, civil organizations, and the messages that were being relayed, confusing, they said, to the members of the ANC. You and yourself are a member of the ANC. Tell us about today in terms of the program. Who will be running today's program? Is it going to be the ANC as they'd wish to take over, and so that they can control the speakers that will be speaking here after the court proceedings?
Look, as the member of the ANC in my individual right, I am aware of the decision of the National Executive Committee that distanced the ANC and its structures from supporting President Zuma. And when we as RET champions spoke out to offer our support for President Zuma, nobody else had done that, because people had believed that when they throw out President Zuma, he will be going alone to court, and ANC had taken a decision not to support him. But of course, we are aware of the decisions and in fact media statements that have been made in the past that some ANC leaders in the province are not happy about people who are uttering things. But look, nobody is attacking the ANC. ANC is the leader of society. ANC is the leading party in government, and therefore anything that goes wrong in society will be blamed on the leadership. And unfortunately, my organization, my ANC, is the leader that should be blamed. And when we give that criticism as members and public, ANC should be bold enough to take that criticism and self-correct, because as we can see in the country, there are a lot of skeleton that are coming out of the closet when they try to paint President Zuma as the monster. And you've been following what has been happening in the Zondo Commission. You can see that really President Zuma was not someone who was doing bad for this country, but people were just out of their personal vendetta trying to paint him as such.
Just before I let you go, the last time we were here, there was also concern. There were placards saying that we will not vote for the ANC because people who were here believed that this is the persecution of the former president and they support him. And what has been the discussions thereafter in terms of the message that you have been spreading as you've been trying to mobilize support for the members of the ANC? These people who are here were saying they're not going to vote for the ANC.
Look, I must be honest with you. I don't remember a placard which said we are not going to vote for the ANC. But what I can remember is a placard that said we are going to use our conscience come 2019. And you'd recall that that's the message that was coming from the parliament, from the ANC caucus, that people should vote with conscience. And that's what we are going to do. Look, I'm an ANC member in my personal capacity. I'm going to vote for the ANC. But I have a concern. And when I air that concern, it should not be interpreted as I am now turning against my own party, because I have a right as a member. Look, I can be honest with you. I will not vote for ANC for as long as ANC in its rank feels Pravin Gordhan and all the shenanigans that he has gone through. And that's the message from the radical economic transformation forces out there, that we want to do away with Pravin Gordhan. And if the ANC carries on to maintain him, come 2019, we are going to use our conscience. We're not saying that we are not going to vote for the ANC, but we are going to use our conscience.
All right, Kosanju Shezi, thank you so much for your time. The leader of the RET champions here in KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Kosanju Shezi, and also one of the main organizers of the support for former President Jacob Zuma. But just one of the things that I asked in one of the questions, and we're hoping to speak to the ANC leaders here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, because they had raised their concerns about the platform and who is going to be addressing and the message that they are going to be relaying to the supporters that are out here. Of course, the ANC is also mobilizing for the elections, and they want to control what a message is going to be sent out, particularly directed at the members of the ANC. Right. We'll, of course, continue with the coverage outside the Pietermaritzburg High Court. As I said in our discussion with Nkosentja, not a lot of people at this stage. Last time around at this time, there were many people that already had started to gather outside here. But he says that there were some logistical issues and that there are more people that are going to be making their way here to the court to show their support for the former president, as well as more ANC leaders that are expected to arrive here. But we'll be bringing you all the latest from the Pietermaritzburg High Court. I'm going to leave it here for now. Simpiwe, and back to you in studio.